They say being a paramedic is like being an Uber driver, except the passengers don't choose the ride, and you never know if you'll get there in time, or if the passenger is still intact. Some nights are just drunk people, stupid falls, and predictable heart attacks. But there are nights when the radio calls, and you feel deep down that something's wrong even before you leave the station. Some people call that imagination, others swear it's just exhaustion. But some folks simply accept that. There are things in this world we'll never understand. By the way, if you've ever been through something like this, a creature in the hallway, a radio that turns on by itself, or a relative who came back different from a trip, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to us. Just send your story. We promise not to judge, unless it involves a pact for free Wi-Fi. Also, subscribe to the channel, because if even the federal taxman hunts you non-stop, imagine what a spirit could do to you. My name is Eli Thompson, and I've been a paramedic for over 10 years. I work in northern Illinois, in a county where it seems God nodded off and left the devil loose. Most calls are normal. Overdoses, accidents, bar fights. But then there are those nights, the ones that leave marks on your skin. This story happened in January, cold, icy roads, and the night dragging like a heavy shadow. It was my third consecutive 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, and the radio had been quieter than usual. Too much silence is never a good sign. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the call came in. Code 1045. Accident with possible fatality. But what caught me was the location. Route 17, at the curve known as Broken Horseshoe. That area already had a history of strange accidents, the kind of place where the temperature always feels about 3 degrees colder than everywhere else. I took the unit and went alone since my partner was handling a smaller call elsewhere. When I arrived, what I saw made me take a deep breath. A silver sedan was partially tipped against a tree, half in the woods, half on the road. The headlights were still on, but no sign of movement. And the weird part, no skid marks. None. Like the car had just slid there. I got out of the ambulance, shone my flashlight, and called out loud. Nothing. When I reached the driver's door, I noticed it was ajar. There was blood on the steering wheel, but no body in the seat. None. Not the passenger seat, not the trunk, nothing. The car was empty, but someone had driven there and bled. The ambulance radio started crackling weirdly. It wasn't normal interference. It sounded like breathing. I don't mess around with that kind of thing. I got back in, closed the door, and called for backup. That's when I saw it. About 20 meters into the woods, there was a figure. Someone standing, or watching me. The silhouette was definitely human, but it didn't move. I blinked, and it just disappeared. I thought I must be getting sleepy. Stress, maybe. I focused back on the radio, and at that moment, a woman's voice, distorted, like underwater, said my name. No, it whispered my name 3 times. Eli, Eli, Eli. There was no way to tell where it came from, and the name wasn't transmitted over the radio. It was straight into my head. And the worst part? Right then, the ambulance clock froze. Stuck at 3:13, frozen. I know because I checked it several times afterward. The accident car's lights started flashing on their own, and one of the doors slammed. By itself. I swear I thought about leaving. But my job is to help, to rescue. So I grabbed my high-powered flashlight and headed down the trail into the forest. I wanted to check if anyone was down, hurt. I went about 20 meters in. Nothing. 30 meters. Nothing. Just as I was about to give up, I smelled something. A horrible stench of burnt flesh and rotten meat. It was strong enough to make me want to vomit. And the sound, light footsteps behind me. But when I turned, there was no one. Only one thing, a mark in the snow. Like a footprint. But not human. It was like an animal track, with fingers too long. And 3 marks instead of 5. I backed up. Walked quickly back to the ambulance. But then I realized I'd been walking too long. The trail felt longer than before, and when I reached the road, the sedan was gone. The unit was gone. Nothing. Only the ambulance. And the clock, still frozen at 3:13. I didn't tell anyone that night. Lie. I wrote in the report that the car had been removed before I arrived. They said it was a prank call, some crazy guy dialing from nowhere. But I knew it wasn't. I still had that smell stuck to my uniform. The shift stayed quiet. No other calls. I got back to base at 7 a.m., but even after shower and coffee, I couldn't get rid of that metallic taste in my mouth. It was like something stayed trapped inside me. The next night, I tried to forget. Took another shift. They paired me with a rookie, Becca. She didn't know anything, so I kept my composure. But what she told me early in the night made my stomach turn. She said a friend of hers, also a paramedic, had a psychological breakdown the week before. Right after a call on Route 17, near the Broken Horseshoe. Said he saw things that shouldn't exist and was now hospitalized. I pretended it was a coincidence. At 2:48 a.m., the radio beeped. Same location, same code, 10:45. Becca was excited, grabbed the gear, and ran to the ambulance. I just stood there for a few seconds, staring at the radio like it was messing with me. But it wasn't. When we reached the road, I felt something was different in the air. A low, almost inaudible hum. Constant. I couldn't tell if it was from the forest or my head. The car was there this time. Different model, different color, but exactly in the same position. What chilled me was seeing the snow around it. Clean. No footprints. No tire marks. Like that car had been dropped there by helicopter. Or materialized. Becca went to the car first. I stayed behind, flashlight on high. Then I saw something I can't explain. She got in through the passenger door and vanished. Disappeared. No scream, no movement. She just entered and was like erased from reality. I ran to the car, opened every door. It was empty. No sign of her. No sign of anything. The ambulance radio exploded with static. And the clock? Frozen. 3:13. Again. I stood there for a few seconds like an idiot. The car door still open, passenger seat empty, and Becca gone. No footsteps, no screams, no door closing. Nothing. She entered and simply disappeared. I called her name many times, quietly at first, then yelling. Nothing. I felt my heart pounding in my throat. The flashlight trembled in my hand, and it wasn't from the cold. It was fear. I tried to reason. Maybe she left through the other door. Maybe she fell into a hole in the snow. Maybe. But there were no footprints. None. The snow around the car was untouched. And I know snow. When someone steps on it, they sink, leave marks, slip. There was none of that. I ran back to the ambulance, turned on the radio, and called for backup. The operator answered, but something was wrong. He spoke, but it sounded like another language. Words jumbled, slow, like they were played backward. I turned off the radio, looked at the digital clock on the ambulance dashboard. Guess what? 3:13. Stuck. Again. I thought about leaving. Leaving everything there and running to the police station or to the hospital, but I couldn't. Not out of heroism nor responsibility. It was like something was pulling me into it. Like I was already involved and running away would be worse than staying. I went back to the crashed car and got in, on the driver's side. The same feeling as the night before. Heavy air, smell of burning, and that ringing in my ear, now louder. Like a wave was about to crash. In the back seat, I noticed something strange. A small wooden box, about the size of a shoe. It wasn't there before. I swear I looked, but now it was there. I opened it carefully. Inside, there was just one thing. A photo. It was a Polaroid. It showed an empty road with an ambulance in the background. The same ambulance I was driving. The license plate was the same. The paint was worn, like it had aged years. In the photo, It was stopped in the middle of the road, alone, no one around. On the back of the photo, handwritten, "You've been here before." That's when I heard the knocking. 3 dry knocks, coming from inside the forest. They weren't footsteps, they were knocks. Like someone was marking a rhythm, like it was a ritual. I looked around, trying to figure out where it came from. When I turned back to the car, the photo had disappeared. The box too. Everything was gone. But now, in the rearview mirror, there was something reflected. It was Becca's face, but she wasn't there. The reflection smiled, but the smile didn't match her. It was crooked, too wide, tense. The eyes dark, hollow. Like something had put her mask on another thing's face. I jumped out of the car, ran to the ambulance, locked everything inside, started the engine, tried to get out of there, but the road led nowhere. I swear to God, I drove for more than 20 minutes in a straight line, always the same landscape, always the same stretch of road. The trees never changed, the snow never stopped. It was like driving in circles inside a mirror. Until I saw the car again, the same one, in the same position. And this time, the driver's seat was occupied. It was her. Becca. Head down, hands on the wheel like she was sleeping, or unconscious. But there was something wrong. Even without seeing the face, I felt that it wasn't her. And worse, she was smiling. I saw it through the car's rearview mirror. Her reflection was smiling. Even with her head down. Even without moving. The mouth was smiling. I think that's when my sanity started to detach from reality. I turned off the ambulance, closed my eyes for a few seconds. When I opened them, nothing was there. No Becca, no car, no road. Everything was black, like the world had been erased, and all that remained was sound. A buzzing, and then 3 knocks. Always 3. Always at 3:13 a.m. I woke up inside the ambulance alone. Everything silent, everything dark, except for the dashboard lights, blinking in a strange pattern. It wasn't an emergency, nor a technical error. It was a rhythmic pattern. 3 blinks, pause. 3 blinks, pause. I looked at the clock. 3:13 a.m. Again. That damn time seemed stuck to my existence. I tried to turn on the radio, but only static. No beep, no voice. Static, crackling, and something that sounded like breathing. Like someone was very close to the microphone, but too scared to speak. I got out of the ambulance slowly. It was lightly snowing, but the forest around was still. No sound. No wind. The trees seemed denser than before, like they had moved closer during the night, suffocating the road. And then I saw something that chilled me to the bone. My own tracks in the snow, leading to the crashed car. But they didn't return. There were no footprints back to the ambulance. Just one continuous line of steps going, and nothing coming back. As if I had gone in and never come out. But there I was, outside the car. Lucid, or at least I thought I was. I followed my own tracks. Got back to where the car should be. But there was no car. There was a stretcher. In the middle of the snow. A hospital stretcher. One of those we use in emergencies, with a white sheet and locked wheels. On it, a body covered by a sheet. No sign of blood. Just the cold, heavy presence of that cloth stretched over something that shouldn't be there. So I took a deep breath, walked to the stretcher, and pulled the sheet. And there I was. My body. My own face. Eyes open, glazed, skin gray, like I had frozen inside. There was a subtle smile on my lips, the kind of smile that appears on corpses that died scared. I smelled it. Again, that warm smell of rotten flesh mixed with electric smoke. Impossible to explain, but recognizable. The same as the night before. The same as Becca. And then came the voice. But it wasn't on the radio, nor in the air. It was inside my head, like a thought that wasn't mine. You shouldn't be here. The phrase repeated 3 times. Always 3. I looked around, spinning in circles. I wanted to see where it came from, wanted some logic, some explanation. But there was no logic. Just the trees. I ran back to the ambulance, locked the doors, started the engine, hit the gas, and drove away. Or at least I tried. The road let me go for about 5 minutes. Then, there it was. The damn broken horseshoe curve, the crashed car, and Becca, standing, in the middle of the road, back turned. The same silhouette I had pulled dead from the car, the same one I saw with the broken neck, now standing, and alive, or something like it. She turned her face, just the face. The body stayed turned, away. And I saw the eyes, completely white, like polished marble. No pupils, no expression. Just that emptiness staring straight at what was left of my sanity. And then, for the first time, she spoke. Not with her mouth, nor with a voice, with my radio. "It's not your fault, but you brought them with you." I jumped from the seat and went to open the passenger door to get out of there. But she was already there. Inside, sitting in the passenger seat, smiling with all her teeth cracked, like broken porcelain, and bleeding from her eyes. She didn't move, but she was bleeding. The stream slowly ran down her cheeks to the corner of her mouth. Then, went back up, like time was running backward inside her. That's when I realized the ambulance was no longer on the road. We were nowhere. I can't explain. It was like the outside world had been erased. The windshield showed only darkness, but a darkness that pulsed, like a living organism. Like we were inside a huge lung, breathing, all around us. And then she spoke again. The call was never for her. It was for you. I asked mentally, "Call from who?" And the answer came from the rearview mirror. 3 figures, standing behind the ambulance, tall, thin, hooded. They didn't move, but they got closer with every blink of the hazard lights. Every 3 blinks, closer, until the lights stopped blinking, and the back door opened, by itself. The sound it made still gives me chills just remembering. A vacuum sound, like the universe was holding its breath. Then the dry thud of the door hitting the metal. I saw inside the ambulance through the cabin divider. Empty, but not completely. There was something there, lying down, and breathing. So then I understood what I had been transporting all that time. It wasn't a body. It was a piece from the other side. A fragment of that dark place where Becca came from. And now, it was trying to cross over. Using the ambulance as a bridge. Using me as a bridge. I had become a channel, an open vein. I tried to get out, tried to force the door, scream, do anything. But the seatbelt locked, and the glass beside me started to fog up from the inside, with words being written invisibly, "You will not return." But I did return. Suddenly, everything went white. A flash, a bang, a metallic taste in my mouth, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the stretcher, inside the hospital, conscious, with a sheet covering my face, alone, no one nearby, and no idea how. Much time had passed. The clock on the wall? 3:13 a.m. I slowly lifted the sheet, expecting to find my body patched up, maybe intubated, but no. I was fine. No cuts, no bruises, no wires, no monitors, just me and silence. I got up from the stretcher slowly, felt the cold floor beneath my feet, walked to the door of the room and pushed it cautiously. Dark corridors. No sound of nurses, no patients, no sign of life, just the echo of my footsteps on the worn vinyl. And then I realized. The walls were dirty, scribbled with marks that looked like they were made with fingernails. Words scratched like scrawls. "Don't leave, return to the stretcher, they hear through the light." I passed 3 rooms, all the same. Empty. Clocks frozen at 3:13. In one of them, there was a wheelchair tipped sideways, with something stuck to the backrest. A badge. with my name, but with the wrong birth date. It said I was born in 1913. I stopped breathing for a moment. The lights flickered. I started hearing footsteps running behind me, but they didn't come only from behind. They came from above, from the ceiling, from the floor, from inside the walls. And then, at the end of the corridor, I saw something. The stretcher. The same one from before, with the sheet spread out. And underneath it, someone was moving. I approached. Part of me knew it was a trap, but another part had no other choice. I pulled the sheet, and for the first time, I saw what was on the other side. It was me. Again. But not just dead, rotting, swollen, as if it had been there for months. The mouth slowly opened. A grotesque sound escaped the rotten lips. "You brought me here. Now stay too." And the room exploded with screams, thousands of voices shouting at the same time. I woke up in the ambulance seat. This time, with sunlight coming through the windshield. Clear day, blue sky, and a cop knocking on the window with a grumpy face. I got out dizzy. My knees were shaky, but the world seemed normal. He asked my name, asked what I was doing there. I said I was a paramedic, night shift. He said nobody called for me. There was no accident, no call. And the strangest part, no sign the ambulance had been used. It was clean. Full tank. No skid marks on the road. And dispatch? Said I never checked in for the previous night's shift. I felt like a ghost. Went to the hospital. Talked to my co-workers. Nobody had seen me. No entry recorded. No radio logs. Nothing. I even thought I had dreamed it all. A burnout. Crisis, maybe. But then, when I got to my locker, the badge was there, the one with the birth date from 1913. And there was something else. A note. Handwritten. In my handwriting. "You crossed. They don't forget. Coming back doesn't erase." I folded the note, threw it away, tried to move on, but life didn't move on. I spent weeks trying to erase everything. I switched shifts, started working day shifts, avoided anything involving the broken horseshoe road, changed routes even to go to the market. But whenever I slept, 3:13 a.m., I'd wake up sweating. The same white room, the same sheet, the same phrase on the glass, "You will not return." I started pulling away from people. My friends thought I was depressed. Maybe I was. But it was more than that. It was like part of me was still trapped there, in the dark. One night, I forgot to turn off the ambulance radio. At 3:13, it turned on by itself. The same voice. Becca's. But weaker. As if very far away. "They want more." I turned off the radio. Slammed it on the floor. Pulled out the battery. But the sound continued, echoing through the empty garage. They didn't want just Becca. They wanted people like me. It wasn't long before I started seeing other signs. Faces in the windows of buildings I knew were empty. Hands on the hospital mirrors, pressing the other side of the glass like they were trying to cross over. In isolation, ward stretcher 17, a coma patient started repeating my name. I'd never seen that man in my life. Never treated him. But he said in a dragged voice, "You opened. You opened. You opened." I started writing everything down, recording, trying to understand. But the pages disappeared. Computer files froze at 3:13. One day, my own reflection in the mirror didn't follow me. As I moved, it stayed still. Smiling, I decided to quit. Travel. But then, 2 days ago, I received an envelope with no sender. Inside, just one sheet. Shift, 3:13. Location, Broken Horseshoe. That same day, dispatch called saying a car had hit a pole in that area, and no one was available except me. I refused, said I couldn't. And then came the supervisor's voice on speaker. "Are you sure you want to deny a call?" It was the same voice, but it wasn't him. It was them. I hung up. If one day you get a call at 3:13, don't answer. Don't go. They don't want to be saved. They just want to open. And now, I hear the radio turning on again. They're here. Again. And I don't know if this time I'll make it back. If you've ever worked a night shift, you know silence hides more than just fatigue. Sometimes, it hides something that knows your name. And I wonder, what if it's real?